1970, we sure we did the forefront. Knowledge for selfish, for sure we did the work. Auditorium to basement of all faculty of law. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Work hard and we shine, commitment, dedication. Neurosurgery, comedy, music, Nollywood. SOTK, Dr. Call, MC Casino. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Great Uniben, great Uniben, great Uniben.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Uniben Alumni Series. As you know, this is a show where we celebrate alumni of the great University of Benin, men and women that have gone through the four walls of one of the greatest tertiary institutions in West Africa, the University of Benin. And on today's episode, we have a wonderful lady with us today. She is a tech guru. She used to be a politician, a student politician. I don't know if she's still a politician till today. She is a technology business development expert and former governor of the Faculty of Life Sciences, University of Benin. She is Cynthia Alabi. Dennis, I believe they used to call you comrade. Are you still a comrade? Thank you very much, Cynthia, for joining us.
Hi everyone, thank you Kelvin for having me.
Thank you. Also, Cynthia is the head of customer experience at Transat World Digital. Thank you once again. Let's start this way, Cynthia. You studied biochemistry at the University of Benin. What influenced your choice of biochemistry? Or was your intention to be a medical doctor?
I think yes, my story is like almost everyone who entered Faculty of Life Sciences. I wanted to be a medical doctor. In fact, my admission letter had medicine. So we had jubilated at home back in Lagos, and then my mom had come with me to do my clearance. And we were told that we had to get another scratch card at basement to then know the exact course that we were given. So we went, and upon checking, I saw biochemistry.
What was the feeling like?
I cried. I remember rolling on the floor, and people were wondering what was happening. Is it? I forgot Unity Bank. Yes.
Yeah.
Just my mom was at Unity Bank because that's where we got the scratch card, and I told her, "Give me a minute. Let me join my peers. We'll go to basement together and come back." So they had to go and call her that your daughter is rolling. She has refused to leave here. And then when I was rolling, somebody was like, what's wrong? And my mom was like, she wanted medicine. They gave her biochemistry. And then the lady was like, but you're lucky now. What of me that they gave physical health education? I started laughing. I was like, okay, I presumed. Like, if somebody got physical health education from medicine, I should manage my biochemistry. So yes, my story was like almost everybody. I wanted medicine, but yeah, Uniben gave me biochemistry.
So how did you find biochemistry? Was it something that, it was not too bad at the end of the day, and you said, okay, this is something I can make good use of?
Okay, to be honest, right, one of the ladies I had met that day was in 100 level biochemistry. However, she decided to write JAMB again because she didn't like it. So it took me 2 days, if I remember, to make up my mind that it was either I was going to go back to Lagos and write JAMB again or take the course. I didn't have an idea of what it was. To be honest, then what people were used to were the professional courses. So if it wasn't medicine, it was engineering, it was pharmacy, right? We didn't really know much about all these other professions, right?
Yeah.
So I had to take my time to decide. And from what I'd heard from that girl, I knew that biochemistry wasn't the nicest department to be in. So after 2 days, I did my clearance, and like what everybody will tell you, if you do very well in 100 level, you can
Transfer.
then apply to join medicine. So I think that was my consolation. Because a friend of mine back home had called me when I was talking to say, "You want to come back home, Abby? Come back now. You stay at home 1 more year." So I was like, okay, I would resume. I would work hard and I would go to medicine. So that was the plan. But how did I find biochemistry? I think getting into school, 100 level, of course, everybody were in 500 LT. So you would do mixed courses.
Yeah.
And most of the courses were things I was used to from secondary school: chemistry, physics, mathematics, GST. So it wasn't much of an issue at 100 level. I was going to say, but I hope my daddy does not watch this video. Again, because I was very comfortable in 100 level, I quickly forgot that I wanted to do medicine, and I got carried away with life in Uniben. So by the time I was done with 100 level, the result was not resulting enough for me to even think of going to medicine. So I had to stay put in biochemistry. And I think resuming 200 level was when our senior colleagues had the peaceful walk around school, when they had said nobody um, was graduating with good results, or a lot of advice to withdraw, a lot of repetition, like where you have to come back 2 years after your 4 year, you were still trying to
Yeah.
graduate from biochemistry. So I think that got me scared out, to be honest. And to be honest, I think then they refer to our lecturers as sadists. But I think Grace found me, because 200 level, my class advisor was very okay. He encouraged us. I think he pushed us. And then some of the lecturers, people like Professor George, made it look like, okay, why were they complaining? Because he will make you feel at ease. And the HOD, Professor Obi, yes, Professor Obi, he was also very amiable. So I was wondering why people were complaining. So I would say, even though I heard a lot of things about
Yeah.
biochemistry, I didn't really suffer it. I think, like I said, Grace found me, but chemistry used to be like the hardest then. Like even medical students would fail their MBBS because of
Yeah.
biochemistry. So, but yeah, Grace found me, and I left the school after 4
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Shout out to Professor George, wonderful man. For university students, the penultimate final year, this is the period they decide what they're going to do with their course. So for you, when you were in your third and your fourth year, what was the plan after school studying biochemistry? Oh, but at that point, he started thinking of tech. He said, I think I need to move away.
Honestly, no. So again, I think I would want to be honest with everyone, because a lot of times when we speak to people, we kind of make it look like we had our life figured
Yeah.
out. Honestly, at 300 level, I was still thinking about politics. I was vested in politics. I had the goals, vision, and mission for my life, but it wasn't even towards my career. I had things like, oh, I wanted to start a foundation. I wanted to do business, because, of course, people had told me about chemistry. If you end up in the lab, they'll probably be paying you 50,000, salary increase 70,000 a month. So I didn't think that's what I wanted to do. So I wasn't thinking seriously. My mind was just maybe have a foundation and then do
Yeah.
business. So I had drafted out, I was going to do fashion, make clothes, have people work for me. I would open this other stuff. So in my mind, I wanted to just do business. That was, I had not defined it, but it was business, because I felt like I was not going to be able to use a degree for anything so
Yeah.
much.
Okay. You talked about politics. Let's talk about your foray into politics. What was the motivation? What inspired you? And during my own time in school, I know life sciences, they're quite political. So what influenced you to join politics, to bring yourself out to serve the students?
So you're asking me questions that I have to start confessing most things. Okay, so my decision to join politics was heartbreak. Very funny. so so I had just gotten breakfast, like they call it now, and I had to come put my energy into something. From secondary school, I've always led people. So that was the point where Chinelo had then mentioned, because we were classmates, that she wanted to go into politics and wanted to be the first female SCG president. Um, so I was like, okay, maybe I should do life sciences too. At the point, right, even though I wasn't one of those everybody knows me students, I also had very strategic friends in uni, physical sciences and life sciences. So I said, yeah, I think since you're going for SCG, let me do faculty. So it started off as I could go for the vice president of faculty. So the elections started, conversations started. That was also the time where SLT and AEB were struggling to say, we come to school almost every day. We should also be able to participate in faculty elections. So they were also wanting to get in. So it was a lot was happening back end. All of the stakeholders were going back and forth. So you had the likes of Chidon, Onose, Iwan. They were all like, there were serious meetings happening. And I had this friend in physical sciences who was also close to them. So he will come and say, oh, this is what's happening. No, I'm like, okay. Bless her soul, Oma was also vying for the same position of vice president. And she seemed a bit calmer, she seemed a bit nicer. So people were going to support her over me because, again, anywhere I am, I'll tell you, and my voice must be heard. So they're like, no, she's not humble enough. She's not. But yeah, the journey started. The journey started, right? And I started speaking to each of the stakeholders. My department was solidly behind me. At the time, Dennis was also president of biochemistry. So they were solidly behind me and the conversation started. I would say that as we went on, the department decided, okay, Cynthia should go for the vice president position, just again, because we needed somebody strong enough to oppose SLT and AEB because they also had the numbers. Well, played a little politics. I ended up going for that position unopposed because I also had a few friends in SLT and AEB. So by the time elections started and we had the rollout of the list of people who were going to be voted for, VP position was unopposed. However, for president, there was Osaon from optometry and some other person from SLT and so both of them had to contest for presidency. So elections happened, and it was chaotic. So there was a lot of issues, and the election was cancelled for us to do another one for the positions that were contested for. However, for those of us that were unopposed, the departmental faculty lead, head of faculty, had said we should go ahead to be sworn in, while another date to be fixed for the re-elections. And so that was how yours truly became acting president of Faculty of Life Sciences. And I think it went well, and the elections never happened. So I had my 1 year as the faculty president.
Okay, let's talk about your time as the president. You spent 1 full year as faculty president. What program, what policy would you remember now and said, oh, that was my biggest achievement, faculty president?
Yeah, so I would say that during my time as faculty president, um, one of the things that was dear to my heart was repairs, which was something that we worked on. So the faculty halls, there were two main halls in the faculty at the time. We ensured that we were able to do major repairs on there, right, to kind of make it a lot more conducive for students. Myself, I think at the time the secretary was Aima, and Atigaria. He was in microbiology, if I remember. And we also had the house, right? So we're able to push for collections of levies. Again, at the time, there was not a lot in the pause, but we were able to push for collection of levies. I was actively, yes. So rewind. There was also, that was the time Uniben decided to increase school fees.
Okay.
The Chinelo had become SUG president, and then Uniben decided that they wanted to increase school fees that year. So the 100 level students, there was a lot of riots, not riots, let me use the right word, but there was a lot of demonstration. And at that time, yes, SUG had meetings with school, and I think they had agreed to go along with what school wanted.
Yeah.
However, I wasn't going to take it. So I had to engage 100 level students that were in Faculty of Life Science, and we started conversations. I know I heard stories then that it was because my sister was also just entering 100 level, and that was why I was fighting that the school fees increased. But yeah, it wasn't it, because I felt like a lot of people had planned, parents had made plans on what they could afford, and then just out of nowhere the increase. So we pushed back, and I think that pushback was what created the bond between me and the 100 level students that came into the faculty at the time. So by the time we needed to start raising funds to do certain things in the faculty, it was easy for them to trust me and contribute their levies, which went a long way in us raising funds to do the repairs. So the major thing I would say I did then was the repairs of most of the classrooms and the lecture halls. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about what you got from Uniben outside your certification. What are those attributes that when you go out, say I'm a Uniben girl because I got this from Uniben?
Resilience, number one, resilience. So like I said, getting into uni, I was the firstborn, but I was a mommy and daddy's girl. So if you remember me saying, when I came in for clearance, my mom came all the way from Lagos with me. During matriculation, my father was with his short knicker following me up and down, and everybody was like, who is this girl? So yeah, I came in being that child or baby, right, who would not go anywhere. It was home, school, and then I came to Benin. So Uniben taught me resilience. It taught me that you had to do things. You had to start going through things. And a lot of things came at me. For the first time being out of home, there were a lot of things that came, but it built me, made me strong. So I would say resilience. Also, like I mentioned, with all the noise going on with biochemistry being a difficult department, to getting into politics, everything was not always very smooth. But Uniben taught me how to be strong because, again, I had seen people who had come in being strong. So I learned from them that it won't kill you, it would only make you stronger. And so, yes, I would say resilience. The other thing I would say Uniben taught me or gave to me is lifelong friends. By reason of my attending University of Benin, I have friends in my life today that I can call upon at any point in time, and they can also call me, and they've been very instrumental in how my life has gone. I would say, for instance, my journey into tech came as a result of a conversation with someone I met in school. So yeah, resilience and also the career that I have today. It has also helped me to be confident. It's hard for you to go to University of Benin and not be able to stand anywhere because we always used to see ourselves as after Unilag. Even sometimes we used to try to like show them
It is
things.
Uniben
After
and
Unilag,
others.
it was Uniben and others, right? So that confidence of I went to a strong school, I went to a great school, and if I could do it, right, there's nothing that I can't contend with. So resilience, lifelong friends, my career journey, and confidence were the things I let us.
Let's talk about your career, your switch from to tech. What influenced that switch? You just mentioned that you spoke to someone you met in Uniben, introduced you to the space and all that. How did that come about? Was there flair at the initial stage from the very beginning, maybe when you were in Uniben? So when did you have this flair for tech, and what influenced it?
Okay, so like I said, 300 level, I was busy with politics. Final year came so quickly, and we were done. And I had no solid plans of what I was going to do after. So during NYC in Bayelsa, I had decided that okay, maybe business was that I thought was what I was going to do was not the way. Maybe I need to get a job. However, my father does not know anybody. So where would this job come from? And then some people were of the school of thought that, yeah, maybe you should do a master's. If you do a master's, it will give you a better edge. So I applied to do master's in biochemistry. I don't think I'd had enough of biochemistry.
In Uniben?
So, yes, in Uniben, I bought my form and I was planning to resume. Then I think somebody had told somebody that told Dennis Ajalian. And Dennis called me, babe, what be the thing when I did hear so? I said, what's up, I did? I hear say CCSEC will never tire you. You won't go do masters for biochemistry. I said, what if person go do now? At least as you finish work, we'll never know where this thing. Make we just do masters, but at least make it give us higher edge.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't have a lot of models, right? Because I'm the first. So no sibling as such or senior person to really guide you. So it was a lot of different things that you will hear from outside. But he was like, no, I don't think you should do that. And I'm like, okay, so if I don't do it, what would I do? He was like, seeing that a lot of things. He was serving in Lagos at the time. And I think the Lagos camp was a lot more robust. So they had done like some trainings. And then he was talking about like tech, how he was doing one CCIA, or I can't even remember the name of the course, right? And so he was thinking of going into, and I'm like, okay. And he was like saying that I don't know, but what I know is a master's in biochemistry is not what you should be thinking about. So I said, okay. And I came back home. I came back to Lagos and I started looking for a job. I got my first job with one of the biggest airlines in Nigeria at the time, as a call center agent, and kept at it. did it, I think about 8 months. I was moved to sales, and I was on there, and I thought I was growing in my career, and that was where I was going to remain. Then we had biochemistry hangouts, and this human being, Dennis, was like, Cynthia, what's up? What are you doing? Of course, we just said, he knew I was in the airline. I was like, oh, so what are you doing now? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, are you not thinking of leaving this place? I was like, guy, I don't get strength for coding. All this, because they were coding. He was with Team Apps at the time. So they were already doing big things in coding, right? I was like, I know get head for. And he was like, okay, but you don't have to. You could just find an industry. And this role you're doing here, you could do it in tech. I was like, okay. So that was how my interest came up. So I started looking at tech companies, and the opportunity at Uber came. Um, Went in. Of course, even though I'd not worked in tech before, they were willing to take me in because I also had corporate sales experience. So that's how I
Yeah.
got into tech. And so I didn't have to do tech, anything coding. I got in as a business person and kept pushing. So a lot of times I'll call him and say, I don't understand what they're saying here. This tool that they're talking about, and we're like, oh, Cynthia, just Google, right? Whatever it is, it's just understand the product, Google, and be able to speak about the product. And you're a confident girl, you can talk about it anywhere. And that was how I started. I got into Uber. I was supposed to push Uber for business. I made my plans, learned a few things, and I just started pushing. Fortunately for me, it was hard because Nigerian companies would usually use their cars. It was a symbol for them to use their cars. So imagine me coming to tell them, keep your cars and have your employees start using Uber. It was a culture change, but I was able to do it. I spoke to a few banks. They agreed. I think COVID also made it easier because, like, when COVID happened and people started working from home, they realized that their fleet of cars were being useless to them, right? And um, they started using Uber, and that's how Uber grew. And after a while, I was like, okay, next thing, maybe I should go into operations in the tech field. So I went to do master's in project management, and with a little more information and conversation with a lot of my mentors, I then decided, okay, customer experience is the next thing. It would help me with revenue generation, like I always love to. Because for me, I believe that every business is set out to make money,
Yeah.
and if they don't make money,
Well,
why would we paid salary?
Mhm.
So being in the middle of it, right, was what moved me to customer experience. And I'll say it's been great. But like I said, if I had not had that conversation with Dennis, I won't be here
So
doing tech.
if not tech, you'd have been in business now, so probably. Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably have done a master's in biochemistry, and then
I'm really good.
I'd
You're really
realized
going
that
to lecturing. Okay, let's talk about the tech space for women. Um, is it harder for women to get into the tech space, especially African women, to get into the tech space? Or you think the platform is just there, but it appears that women are not too interested compared to the men, or do you think there are some restrictions that are just holding the women back a bit?
so my thoughts are, being in the space, I would say there are not so much of restrictions. I think it starts first from awareness. Like I mentioned earlier, growing up, what we were used to was the professional courses, medicine, and the rest. And then once tech started, a lot of us were not aware. We didn't have the opportunities where there was no information. I think men in their drive would have gotten the information first, and a lot of them speak to themselves, and that dominance in tech,
Yeah.
they got it. Now, because of the technical part, also, you would also understand that engineering, for instance, even from the universities,
Yeah.
you already have a lot of the guys who are there, or the students have male dominance. So 70% male and 30% female. And so that's kind of like trickled into the industry, where a lot of the people were seen as foundation of the industry, or employees who started off in the tech industry were people who moved from like engineering, computer science, computer engineering. So I
Mm.
think that's what
But
created the initial disparity
imbalance.
between the
Yeah.
number of women and the number of men that we had in the industry. But as awareness is coming up and people are learning that, first of all, to be in tech, you don't have to be technical. There are a lot of no code opportunities in tech. We're beginning to see a lot of women coming. And I think the trend would also get more, because even now, we realize that in product innovation, women are a lot more creative.
Okay.
They have a lot more problem solving. I know you don't agree. I can see your face agreeing, but yes,
No, no.
we're a
I,
lot
I
more
just want to
creative.
ask: is there stats to that? That's what I just
Oh,
wanted. Not that I don't agree, because I do
no,
not
but
know
yes, there,
if
there,
it's
there are a few
true.
stats to it. There are a few stats to it that says
Okay.
that a lot of women need to come into the industry more to be able to create products that actually solve problems, right? Family problems, life problems, the real problems, right? That it will take women, right, to come into the field to be able to create real products that will solve issues. So yes, there actually stats to it.
And
There's stats to it.
that's fine. That's fine. Lastly, we are coming to the end of the interview. Let's talk about your online presence, your social media presence. You have quite an active social media presence. Your BD girl. Yeah. Let's talk about your BD girl. That you give tips about businesses, about career in tech, especially for those who do not have knowledge or are just coming to tech. So I want you to give us tips for those of us that are not into tech, that do not have the basic knowledge, and we want to go into tech. What are those first few steps we need to take?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is start from where you are. It depends on what point in your life you are at. Um, Recently, or not even recently, I've had to start speaking to younger people, secondary school and university people, because catch them young, let them know on time, right? But if you're at the point where you're still in school, it's a good time for you to start learning relevant skills, tech skills, or skills that are relevant in the tech industry, and decide that I have interest there and I'm going to face it. However,
Hmm.
that does not leave out people who have already started their careers in other areas, right? If you still have interest to be in tech, you can start from where you are. You first of all have to identify all the skills that you have today, their soft skills and their technical skills. So if you identify the technical skills that you have, you can match them up with certain roles in the tech industry. So, say for instance, you think that you're analytical, right? You have, even in whatever sector you're working today, you have good analytical skills. You can then enhance it, learn more, and get into data analytics in tech companies. If you're not analytical and you think your greatest strengths are your soft skills, you have great communication skills, you're creative, then you want to start looking into marketing, product design, business development.
Yeah.
All of these roles are roles that are in the tech industry. So, first of all, is identifying your skills and matching it right with whatever roles that are in the tech industry. And then if you feel like you have some of the skills, but there's also a gap, it's a good time to also invest in. There are a lot of free resources. Google has free resources. You could pay a bit to learn on Udemy. YouTube has a lot of resources, but sometimes I usually say YouTube is so much that you might get confused. But there are also a lot of people who do structured trainings. Hills and Tech is one of them. But another thing is, if you're interested, get a mentor. Get someone who's also doing what you have interest in, and then they might be able to also break it down into the steps that you can take, and then you can start taking actions towards them. So start from where you are, identify the skills that you have today, and match it with what we have in tech. There are a lot of roles in tech. As a lawyer, you can be in tech. Tech companies need lawyers for compliance, for a lot of things. So if you're interested, there's still something there. As an accountant, with tech has almost all the roles that you guys are looking at or you guys see out there. So there are a lot of roles for the other professions to come into tech. And then there are tech specific roles, product manager, product designer, um, content creator, content strategist. A lot of companies want to be out there. So if today, for instance, you're already doing fine girl pictures or fine boy videos on Instagram, just learn a bit more and you can be a content manager in a tech company. So it doesn't seem so big. It just the fact that you need to start, find a mentor, and you can just cover the skill gaps if you have any. You just might find out that the skills you have already are even enough for you to get in and start applying.
Okay. Lastly, I want us to talk about briefly about Nigerian organizations, establishments in Nigeria. Do you think that the acceptance level of technology in our establishment, do you think it is good enough?
I do, and I think we're getting so. First of all, I'll start with my sector, the financial sector. There's a lot happening in the fintech industry that even people from the diaspora are learning. There's a lot of innovation that's happening in Nigeria. So we have champions, right? But what I also think is it's gradual. So for other industries, we've also started seeing them in biotech. AI is now the thing. There's no employee now, even students who is not on ChatGPT trying to check one thing or the other. That's how innovation technology is getting into the workplace. So I would say that we're getting there. We have moved from a lot of paper holding, which is some form of technology adoption. There are times where you get to a company and you see big files, but now a lot of people are keeping files on the cloud and using Google Drives and the rest, right? So I would say that we're getting there. We're actually there already. I've seen, again, just maybe because I'm in tech, I see a lot of adoption. But I also go around and I've been to a couple of offices, especially in the days where I used to have to go and pitch Uber for business. And you would see that there's been technology adoption. Can we do better? Yes, we can. And are we going to do better? I think yes, we will. Because you see a lot of webinars happen and you see a lot of people sending, most of these organizations sending their employees for training on how they can adopt technology. So yes, I think we're getting there, or we're already there, and there's always room for improvements.
Okay, thank you so much, Cynthia. And I would like to anchor with this. We're talking about AI. The University of Benin Alumni Association in the United Kingdom, The reunion is coming up in July, and they are dwelling on AI. One of the major discussions is going to be on AI. I think that's actually a good way to go. The event is for 19th July in West Midlands in Dudley. Thank you very much, Cynthia, for joining us today. Really had a great time with you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I've been speaking with Cynthia Alabi. She's a technology business development expert and former governor of the Faculty of Life Sciences. Continue to subscribe to our channel. We'll bring you more exclusive interviews. Bye for now.
1970, we sure we did the forefront. Knowledge for service, for sure we did the work. Auditorium to basement of all faculty of law.